I tried to think of like a funny little one-liner to make an intro to the video to get you hooked, but I I'm just devastated after this one because yesterday, because I decided to sleep on this, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Right off the bat, there are no spoilers in this video. There's going to be a couple things that I will touch on because the actors have talked about and have talked about in the trailers, but that will be later on in the video. So just don't worry, I'm not spoiling any like big plot points or honestly even small plot points. So just full out, it's okay to watch this if you haven't seen it. The first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, more specifically the first one, are some of my favorites in the MCU. The second one has really grown on me with time, and I just feel like it is just in the makings of like how to do a comic book movie. And I guess the through line here is writer director James Gunn, because I just think he's a good filmmaker and a good writer. So we know that about him, and just he has been making a very good through line in the world of movies, especially right now because of all like he's over working at DC. He's doing their next Superman movie, which is a very big deal. But also right now, I know I'm a fan of the MCU. I mean, have you seen my YouTube picture? I am one to admit that I'm a little worried about the MCU right now because I get it. I know Quantumania, the last movie, wasn't exactly like the big thing in the world. I liked it more than most, but I could see the flaws in there, and there was very obviously a problem going on. And while I was still excited for Guardians 3, this lingering problem still was in the back of my mind of, wait, another Quantum Mania could happen again, where all of this anticipation was building up for this big thing, and just nothing really happened. And I'm very happy to report that that is not the case with Guardians 3. And honestly, it kind of overblew. Is that how you say it? Like, it topped my expectations. I'll start off with like the general story here. I'm gonna try and be vague with this because yeah, there's still no spoilers. The Guardians are out there now. They're out doing their thing, or at least they're resting after the events of Infinity War and Endgame, and a tragedy hits. That's the best way I can say it. So now the rest of the Guardians have to band together and save one of their own. If I'm being honest, if you've been paying attention to the marketing, you can probably figure out what's going on. But honestly, the trailers don't give out too much. It's to the point where they were actively misleading you where it was going. You could put the pieces together what the general story was going to be, but you were not going to get what this movie was fully about, like by watching the trailers. If you like that humor from the first and second one, it's still there, and it's also done really well. It's on the same level as the first two, but there's a lot more darkness to this. It's very dark material that we're dealing with here, at least for a Marvel movie, because they've never really like there are things that they dive into in here that just, for lack of a better term, it is upsetting content. There is typically things that just really like boil my blood, and that has to do with the villain in this, the High Evolutionary, played by Chukwudi Iwuji, and it's along the lines of, as a movie as a whole, because I figured I should say this because there's there's a good amount of this in here. A lot of this story it mainly has to do with a commentary on animal cruelty. And yes, the animals are CGI. There's like full on, and granted the CGI is very good, but it it deals with animal cruelty in this, and for animal lovers or people who have a pet, I presume, this is gonna be a rough watch. So just knowing that, going full into it, I'm not gonna spoil anything else from there, but just be wary of that if like you like animals. That dark content balancing with James Gunn's usual humor is a great. It's walking a fine tightrope of just like it's a great balancing act. I can't really figure out what the saying is off the top of my head, but you get what I mean. When it comes to the acting, everybody did pretty great. I guess I'm going to single out the three big actors in this, and also if I don't mention an actor, there's a lot going on. There is also a lot going on in this movie. So if I don't mention someone, just I think they did a great job. I really do think everybody did a great job. I've been on the fence with Chris Pratt recently because, well, everything going on with him in his personal life, which, granted, it doesn't bother me the most out of, like, you know, a lot of other people, but it's a little off-putting. But I've always liked him as Star-Lord. I feel like that is the role. I'm going to go as far as to say that this was the role that he was born to play, and this is his best performance as him. It really made me feel like, oh yeah, Chris Pratt can be a really good actor if he wants to be. So if you're praying for his downfall at this point, don't expect him to fall off anytime soon because he gives what's probably his best performance here. I'm gonna go back to Chukwudi Iwuji, who also starred in the Peacemaker series, also by James Gunn. He played the villain in this, the High Evolutionary, and this man is this thing. I don't really know the character that well. This thing is evil, just full on evil. There is no, if you're looking at it from like a Thanos perspective or a Killmonger perspective, I would say there's no redeeming qualities about this man. Out of all the Marvel villains, I couldn't wait to see him lose in this, and also and with that, with a truly terrifying performance from Iwuji, this really worked, and I'm very glad that seeing him from a small part in John Wick Chapter 2, and also just doing a great job in Peacemaker, seeing him level up like this is amazing, and I hope he gets much more work out of this. But by all means, this is Rocket's movie, played by, well, I would say, did the motion capture by Sean Gunn, and voiced by Bradley Cooper. This is very much his movie, and this is also a lot of the things, of course, like most of the movie is him. We're jumping from the past and the present in this, and a lot of the past, actually, a lot of the movie has to do with Rocket. And it's seriously making me consider that Rocket has one of the best arcs in the entire MCU, and just really leveling up everything about Rocket in this is just it left me heartbroken, devastated. I was literally sobbing in the theater. It was something maybe even more than, I don't know, like Endgame. I don't know. This is this is a rough one. I guess we'll move on to the visual effects and the CGI. This could just be me off going a high because I am going to see this again in theaters. I think the CGI is pretty fantastic in this. I would say it's up there. It's nowhere near something on the level of Avatar or something, because you know that has like years and years put into those effects. But this is, I would say, this is like comparable to Dune in its like level of CG and just how great it looks. However, like in Dune, there's that weird shot of the mask opening up, and it's very obviously like Timothy Chalamet's CGI face. There's a similar shot to this where Sylvester Stallone pops up in this, and he's only in 2 scenes. It's not that big of a deal, and they put his face in a mask, and it just doesn't look good. It's really goofy looking, but outside of that, the effects in this are fantastic. Also, I gotta point out, this is a James Gunn movie, so this comes with a pretty killer soundtrack, and this is like just as consistent as the other two. And also, I'd throw the Suicide Squad in there, and just with how great the song picks are, I'm really jealous of it actually. Although it was a little disappointing that my favorite song out of the bunch is just in the credits, but oh well, what are you going to do about it? I will have to say, though, this is something that I can't not talk about. It's still no spoilers, but leading up to this movie, we have heard James Gunn talk about this is his last Guardians movie, and he's talking about like how this is the last movie with this iteration of the group, and yeah, it is fully a conclusion to a trilogy more than anything, and we've already heard in interviews, Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana have both talked about this is their last time playing Drax and Gamora, respectively. And just for at least for all of these characters, we're not gonna see them. like like whether it's on the level of we're not gonna see them for a couple of years, or they're just retiring the characters for a while, or in most likely the case of Drax, because Dave Bautista has been very vocal about this being his last time, won't they just won't be up there anymore, and their character arcs are done. And it didn't hit me until closer to the end of the movie, and it's a really beautiful. It's a okay. I'll just say it, it's a beautiful movie. This is a beautiful movie, and honestly, just I'm I'm genuinely speechless. I also have to point out that the future of James Gunn, he's done at Marvel. He's over at DC now. As I said earlier, he's doing a new Superman movie, and after seeing this, all the work he's done at Marvel, and also the Suicide Squad, I have no doubt he's gonna crush it with Superman. So yeah, I guess that's my spoiler-free thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I legitimately think that, I mean, I think this now, but going down the line when more people are gonna see it, when it's more openly available, this is going to be a crown jewel of the MCU. I think this is up there with Infinity War, the Winter Soldier, and just so many, like, oh my god, I had one other movie in mind, but I completely forgot what it was. But this is like up there easily as not only like one of the best in the MCU, one of the greatest comic book films of all time. I really do think that. And and also as the Guardians trilogy, I do think that it deserves to be in the conversation as one of the greatest, like, not only like comic book movie trilogies, but just general film trilogies ever. Like, this is a truly a massive achievement that honestly I didn't think Marvel was gonna be able to hit again. And knowing that they can do that, knowing that if they have the right people, and that we like the people that know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing with these characters, and like this world that, granted, I love these, I love this world, and especially the Guardians, because I love these guys, and just knowing that these little guys are done now, it's really sad, and at least it went out on a high note. I am legitimately feeling a 10 out of 10 for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I I don't imagine any movie topping it for my number one of the year. I legitimately don't. If anything happens like that, this is gonna be like a game changer, and also like check in on me. Whew, yeah, this one was a lot. So I guess since I haven't really talked about the MCU at large, especially since, Quantumania and this came out back to back, what's your favorite MCU movie? That's my question for you. Is there something that stands out? Is there anything at all that just works for you? It doesn't have to be the best one. It could have just been one that hit at the right time for you. Who knows? Maybe this was that. Maybe Guardians 3 was that movie for me. But god damn. Okay, well, if you haven't, like and subscribe, and if you can, I'll see you in the next video. See ya.